get this started. So, hey, welcome to Partycast. How are we doing today, guys? This is going to be a little bit of a different episode of Rapid Fire. Evan and Aaron and I have had, like I said, last week's post. We're having some scheduling issues. Mostly my schedule has been the issue. So today I was out running around having to get things done. So I'm going to record a quick episode in my truck. Hopefully this goes well. I've tried this kind of style before. If it goes well, it was Evan's idea. If it goes poorly, it was Aaron's idea. I'm kidding. Either way, it was Aaron's idea. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it goes well. Just to kind of preface all of this is super awkward for me, sitting here talking to myself. But if anybody wanders by, hopefully they get a good Snapchat of me sitting here talking to myself, and that'll be at least released for comedic value. So we're going to get through this. I think should go well, so we'll see what happens. So without further rambling, because you're going to get plenty of that in the next 20-ish minutes. I don't know if I'll go the full 30, but we'll see what happens. We all know that I can ramble. So without further ado, we'll get rolling. What I wanted to do, today, is kind of talk about standards and responsibility, self-discipline, that kind of thing. And I can think of no better way to start that than by reading a little bit. I know this is going to be reading time with Jared. We'll start a book segment from a book called Discipline Equals Freedom, a field manual by Jocko Willink. For those of you that are on the video, this is what it looks like. For those of you that are not, if you've not checked out Jocko, do so. This is a really good book. It's set up, like I said, kind of like a field manual. It's very short kind of segments that you can piece along. So I'm not going to do a ton of reading as we go throughout, but I do like the idea of having a few little snippets of things that you guys can see how Evan and I and Aaron think about things, some of the ways that we choose to motivate ourselves or to learn. These are guys and gals that we learn from, so we'll try to bring you guys some of that same information so you guys see where it's coming from. It's not obviously there's nothing new under the sun, and very often, and so a lot of these things we learn from people that have gone and done, and we want to be able to try to bring some of that information to you guys. So just going to read a little bit here. If you guys, I doubt over the course, if this goes really well, maybe we'll read more. I doubt though that we will read any further into this book. So if you guys want to pick it up, it's a really good read. It's good to come back to and kind of get a little dose of pick me up sometimes whenever you need it. So we are now entering the segment called reading, but we'll start out with, we're just going to read, like I said, we're just going to read a few pages. So, the way of discipline. People look for the shortcut, the hack. If you came here looking for that, you won't find it. The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you where you want to be. Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better, free. To reach goals and overcome obstacles and become the best version of you possible. That will not happen by itself. It will not happen cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or looking for the easy way. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. Discipline. There must be discipline. Discipline is the root of all good qualities, the driver of daily execution, the core principle that overcomes laziness, lethargy, and excuses. Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that say, not today, not now, I need a rest, or I will do it tomorrow. What's the hack? How do you become stronger, smarter, faster, healthier? How do you become better? How do you achieve true freedom? There is only one way, the way of discipline. Why? Over and over and over and over again, I am asked why. What drives me? When I was younger, I was preparing for war. So for those of you guys that don't know, sorry, a little snippet right here. For those of you guys that don't know, Jocko Willink is a former Navy SEAL, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and runs a very successful leadership company, has his own podcast and things like that. So obviously, like I said, we're reading from his book, so there's going to be some stuff in here that's going to be war-based. So just a kind of a heads up there. Adjust the AC a little bit in my truck. It's a little warm today. All right. Over and over and over again, I am asked why. What drives me? When I was younger, I was preparing for war. I knew that somewhere out there, another man was preparing. That man was my enemy. He was working, training, planning, and preparing to meet me on the battlefield. I didn't know when, I didn't know where, but I knew at some point we would meet. And I wanted to be ready. Ready mentally, ready physically, ready emotionally. So I trained, and I prepared, and I did everything I could to be ready for that day. When I became a leader, I took the same approach to prepare my men in the same way, to train brutally and without mercy, so we could fight brutally and without mercy. And when the day came, we met the enemy on the battlefield. We were ready, and we fought, and we won. And then one day it was over. I was no longer a soldier, no longer a leader of men. I was no longer preparing myself or my men for war. So what drives me now? The answer is simple. The men that did not come home. Mark, Mickey, and Ryan, but is not only them. There are others, hundreds more, thousands more, countless more, who fought and died to give me the gift of freedom. And for them, I will make every day, every minute, every second, I will make it count. I will live to honor their sacrifice, a life worthy of the price they paid for me, for us. I will not let them down. Where does discipline come from? The answer is simple. Discipline comes from within. Discipline is an internal force. Sure, you can have discipline imposed on you by another person, like a drill instructor or a self-help guru on TV. But the reality is he won't give you real discipline. Excuse me. Whew. But that external discipline is not strong. It will not survive. It cannot stand on its own. What you are looking for, what you need, is self-discipline. Self-discipline, as the very term implies, comes from the self, from you. It comes when you make a decision to be disciplined, when you make a decision to be better, when you make a decision to do more, to be more. Self-discipline comes when you decide to make a mark on the world. If you don't think you are disciplined, it is because you haven't decided to be disciplined yet. It is because you haven't created it yet. It is because you haven't become it yet. So where does it come from? It comes from you. So make the decision, make the commitment, become the discipline. Embrace its cold and relentless power, and it will make you better, stronger and smarter, faster and healthier than anything else. And most importantly, it will make you free. So just a few pages there from his book, but we're going to talk about a little bit of some of what he talks about there and how we can apply. Like I said, that book is full of kind of tidbits of information like that, and I found it to be a good book as you move along. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. So what I wanted to talk about, kind of twofold things today. Some of the things that have been on my mind and why that little excerpt kind of hit me as something that I wanted to include in this. In my own mind, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about and talking to others about standards and responsibility. And so when we talk about standards, there are things that are imposed upon us. So let's look at, so for those of you guys that don't know, my full-time job, outside of working at the gym with Evan and Aaron and attempting to be an amateur podcaster, which has been an adventure in and of itself, as you guys are well aware, my full-time job is a law enforcement officer. So with that job comes standards. When I was hired, there was a physical standard that they wanted us to meet in order to get the job. And that standard, while it might be difficult for some, is not a very difficult standard in my opinion. But that is a standard that someone has decided, this is what I feel, or this is what we feel as a group, whoever came up with it, this is what we feel is the bare minimum needed to do the job. This is the bare minimum needed physically to get the job done and to make it home every night, that kind of thing. So if I wanted to just get by and do what I felt or do what they felt is the bare minimum, I would continue to meet that standard and only meet that standard. So when I look at standards, that's kind of the lens that I'm looking at it through. When standards apply to somebody else, so in your guys' lives, you have standards of some kind. So whether that's going to be a job-imposed standard, whether that's going to be something that you feel like, okay, in my own mind, I need to be able to do these things. Whatever that is, there is a standard of some kind that you have set. Now, if the standard is set for you, I'll address this first. So if the standard is set for you, let's say that you have a job like this, similar to mine, where they tell you there's a certain level of fitness you need to have, whatever that is. And you know by now probably whatever you need to do to meet that bare minimum standard. So especially when I talk about standards, I am talking about these standards are what I would consider the bare minimum to exist in, let's say, this profession. If you want, you can coast and stay at that level for as long as you want. There are guys that have made full careers out of just doing the bare minimum. I don't think that's what you want. Now, I can't tell you that's what you want, and like Jocko talks about, we'll go into it a little further later on, but that is up to you. That is for you to decide how you want that to go. So, like I said, I'm going to get ahead of myself. This is why Evan and Aaron are helpful when we talk. Aaron keeps us all on track because, as you guys know, I can get a little scatterbrained, and I will get ahead of myself because I get excited. So, most people, I look at my notes, most people will follow whatever standard is set before them, and most will not push beyond. There's this is kind of adapted from a few other things, but if you look at the 100% of people, 10% will either fail the standard or just eke by. 80% will meet whatever standard is set for them without any issue. They'll meet it every day, come in, do their job, go home. That 10% that's left will push beyond. Those are the 10% that will try to do better or to be better. So each of us has set a standard. Now let's remove, say you don't have a standard set for your job. Let's just say you are trying to get healthy. So there is a standard that you have set in your mind of what is an acceptable day, what is an acceptable amount of time to spend on your phone, what's an acceptable amount of episodes of Netflix or whatever to watch, what's an acceptable amount of sugar to consume or whatever. There are standards that you have set in your own mind, whatever your normal is. So for most people, I will say that their standard is going to be whatever they think is a normal day or a normal thing that they do. That's kind of where I'm going to put standards for your daily life. So each of us has our own standard. If it's not set externally, therefore then a standard is set internally. And whatever you allow, whatever you consistently do, that's your standard. So if you don't have anything that's mandated for you, then whatever you're allowing to happen, whatever you're allowing yourself to do, that is your standard. So, what I want you guys to do, and this will be, I'm not going to spend the whole time I'm going to try to keep it short so you guys can take some time for yourselves as well. But what I want you guys to do is think about your standard. Think about what is your normal day. How much time do you spend on your phone? How much time do you spend watching TV? How much time do you spend going for a walk? How much time do you spend outside? If you guys have listened to us for any length of time, which I'm imagining you have if you're listening to me ramble in my truck, you know that we value sustainability. We value being more active, putting more activity into your daily life. What that means is we want to help make adjustments to your standard. We want to help make adjustments to your normal. So, if you're going to make a new standard, how do we do that? How do we change? So let's say you looked at your standards, you looked at your daily life, and let's say you're not happy, you're not enthused with what's looking at, or you see room for improvement even. I'm going to preface some of this by quickly saying that I have changes to make. None of us are perfect. I do not come to you guys making this podcast, making this episode saying that like, oh, I have arrived. There was a time in my life that I let my standard fall, because I came from a world of football and sports where a standard was set for me. Somebody followed me around and made sure that I did what I was supposed to be doing. And when I was out of that, I didn't know what to do, and I had to find a way to create my own standard. What that ended up looking like was finding people that were doing what I wanted to do, and I became really good friends with them, and basically like followed them around and just tried to emulate them as best I could to learn how to be as responsible or as disciplined as the people that I saw around me. And then eventually that becomes, you adapt it to yourself, and you basically then go, okay, now I can move forward with this and I don't require an outside input as much. And that's not to say that I don't have days that I appreciate having input. For the last couple of years, just given work schedules and such, I usually train alone. I usually work out alone. And so there are days that, hey, if I don't want to go, nobody knows but me. And so that is then the battle that I have to have in my own mind of making the decision, the disciplined choice made beforehand that I'm going to go. Because then when I don't feel like going, well, I've already made the decision, I'm going. There's no playing around with the idea. Some days I don't win. Some days I have a setback, or I don't go, and that's okay. The next day though, get back on the horse and keep moving. So none of this, I just wanted to put this little caveat in here. None of this is said from a place of like, oh, I've arrived, or Evan and I feel that, or Evan, Aaron and I, none of us feel like, oh, we've got this whole thing figured out. We have days that are good. We have days that are not so good. But we make our best effort every single day to make a step forward. Even if it's a sit on your butt, baby scoot forward, that's progress. Don't beat yourself up. The next day is your next opportunity to start over and get better. The next minute, heck, just because you quote unquote, allegedly, I'm using air quote, messed up, doesn't mean that the rest of your day, early on in your day, doesn't mean the rest of your day is a wash. You can always change paths and continue moving the direction that you want to go. So, how do we create new standards? How do we change what's going on? Okay, well, like what was mentioned in that little reading, that's up to you. So this is not something to say that like, oh, I have all the answers for you guys. You have the answers for yourself more often than not. So we're going to now get into a little bit of like personal responsibility and self-discipline. So why do you want to change your standard? Because your why will determine what you do. So for me, when I work out or when I train, so let's talk about that really quickly. What is training versus working out? This is kind of notated on my notes. I wasn't really sure if I was going to go here, but this seems like a good spot. So what is training versus working out? Working out in the way that we at PRT and Evan and Aaron and I, like we talk about it, is usually like it's a one-time thing. Like, oh, I'm going to go do this workout. It's not part of a larger plan. When I train, I have a specific goal in mind when I enter the gym. I know what I want to do. I know why I'm doing it. And it makes it a whole lot easier to get the job done. If I'm going in and the whole idea is, well, I'm just going to move a little bit of weight. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to sweat a little bit. There are days that I've gone in and do that. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But if every single time you go into the gym, that's your thought process, your progress, you're not going to see the progress that you want because you don't have a map. You don't have a direction of travel that you know this step, then this step, then this step. And that's the power of having someone in your life as a personal, either whether it's a personal trainer, a coach, a workout buddy, a nutrition coach, a life health expert. that's the benefit of having some of those people in your lives, because they help you lay out the roadmap. They help you take the why that's in your mind and put it into a game plan to help you put it into practice. Now, adhering to that is 100% up to you. I can't do it for you. Aaron can't do it for you. Evan can't do it for you. Nobody other than you can make the decision to push ahead, to push forward, and actually achieve the goals you set for yourself. So when I go in and train, these are the things that I'm thinking about. I answer, because we all answer for things. We all answer to somebody in some way, shape, or form. I'm a Christian, so I feel that I answer to God. So my actions should reflect that. So I answer to God. I answer to my family. I answer to my brother and sister officers, not only in the agency that I work in, but the state of Indiana, the United States of America, those of that are spread across the country. We are a community. And when I don't do my best, I'm letting one of them down. I'm letting my family down. I am not giving everything that I have. I also answer to my community. The community that I live in, the community I police in, the community, not only, again, the state of Indiana, the United States as a whole. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of Indiana and the United States of America. When I don't do my job, when I don't train as hard as I can, I feel like I let those people down. Now, I'm not saying that every law enforcement officer feels that way. I'm not saying that every law enforcement officer should. That's for their own decision. But when I took that oath, when I raised my hand and swore that I was going to protect and serve the community that I live in and the nation that I'm blessed to be in and be born in, I lost the right to be out of shape. I lost the right to not be prepared for work. I lost the right to not know my job. Because, unfortunately, this is the nature of the beast. Lives could be at stake, including mine, my partners, the community members that I'm trying to serve and protect. So I have someone and several someones that I answer to. And so every workout that I do, those people are in my mind. I want to go home to my family. I want my partners to go home to their family. I want the people that we're serving to come home safe, to be safe. That is at the forefront of mind. And so when I feel tired or I want to quit or I want to give up, those are some of, that's part of my why. So why do you train? Why do you work out? What's your goal? What do you want? Because at the end of the day, you also answer to some people. You answer to yourself, which isn't always enough for some people, and that's okay. You answer to yourself. You answer to your family. At the very least, you answer to your family. There is someone in this world that is happy you're here. You answer to your friends, your family, and they want you to be healthy, happy, fulfilled, and to be here longer. And that's, if just simply being healthy, that's a great why. Now, I would personally add in that, being able to defend yourself, being able to get yourself out of a burning building, deal with the stress of life would be another good motivator as to why working out and preparing yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally for the world we live in. Because we're not going to get political. We don't get political in this, but it doesn't take a whole lot to look around and realize that things are dangerous. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on. You can encounter all kinds of things when you're out in your daily life, and being prepared for the wide range of possibilities and outcomes is always going to be better than having to wish, oh, well, I wish I had done this more, or I wish I had tried this. So I would, when we're talking about training, look at your physical, mental, and emotional preparedness in general. I'm not saying you got to go crazy prepper, but being prepared for a wide range of outcomes that are reasonable can never hurt. So, you answer to somebody in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's not your employer. If it is, that's even more motivation, or could be less motivation depending on how you feel about your employer. So, the self-discipline, self-responsibility removes the need for external correction. So, if I'm disciplined with my diet and my exercise, I'm not then going to need my doctor to tell me, you need to be on this meal plan or you need to be on this exercise plan because these are your health markers. If I am taking personal responsibility for my own health, I'm getting my blood work done even just once a year or once every other year so that I have an idea of, okay, my vitamin D level is low or I need to be doing these things. Fixing the problem before it becomes a problem. Getting stronger so that you don't develop issues down the road, rather than developing an issue and then trying to fix it. It is much more difficult to do, to have an issue and then try to fix it, than it is to be preventative. Unfortunately, we tend to live in a reactive society, but the more we can do to address issues on the front end, the better off we are going to be down the road. By having self-discipline, by having something in your mind pushing you forward, it removes the need for anybody else to come to you and impose some kind of discipline or some kind of correction. If you can, partner with someone to help you figure that out. Partner with Evan, partner with Aaron, partner with me. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys get where you want to go. Because whether you believe me or not, we care about you guys. We care about anybody that's listening to this. We want to get as many people moving in a healthy, happy direction as we can. We're not trying to sell our way or the highway. We're not trying to say we have all the answers. We want to help as much as we can. But at the end of the day, we can do everything for you and it not work, because the decision is still ultimately yours. The decision is yours to improve the standard. The decision is yours to decide how you want to proceed. So I've actually managed to ramble for, my camera says 30 minutes. We'll see how much of this stays in. If you guys liked this, let us know. You can still send emails to the email account, partycast@gmail.com, PRTYCAST@gmail.com. You can send Instagram, Facebook messages, like, rate, subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. We try to be almost everywhere. If you guys think someone that you know would benefit from either this episode or others, send it to your friends. Share it on your social media platforms. Let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Come into the gym, talk to us, tell us what you think. I wanted this episode to hopefully spark some conversation either within your own self, just kind of having that conversation of, okay, maybe I need to make some changes, and hopefully maybe spark some conversation in the gym. Talk to Evan and Aaron about this. Talk to me if you see me in there. Try to see, hey, what are things I can do? Hey, I want to make some improvements. That's what we're here for. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Hopefully next week we'll get the whole group back together and be able to deliver you guys a full-length episode. Until then, if you've missed any episodes, go back, check them out. I hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of PartyCast. Check us out on your favorite podcasting site, and remember, each episode is also available on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on this adventure, and we will see you next time.